Hello and welcome to the Meraki Quarterly. We're already at the fourth quarter of the year, so it's time to look at what's been happening over the course of the past calendar quarter with Meraki. We have plenty of information to share with you today, covering the full range of the Meraki portfolio as constant product features and updates and products to talk to you about as well. And so what we want to do is make sure we're sharing that with you, keeping you up to date with what's happening at Meraki. Before we get into the show today, I just want to highlight this picture we have here, which was supplied to us by a member of the Meraki community, community member Red Sector. So Red Sector, if you're listening, thank you so much indeed for sharing this picture with us. I'm assuming that this is you comfortably sat back in your chair, monitoring your Meraki networks. Everything is green, so it looks good, including the socks. And if anybody who's joining the call today is wondering how they can get a pair of these socks, the Meraki community is definitely one of those places, because we hold little contests like this from time to time. In this case, to select a picture to use on the front cover of the Meraki Quarterly, and we'll certainly be doing that again in the future. If you're not already a member of the Meraki community, I definitely recommend you go along and join that. It is a great way of keeping in touch with other users of Meraki technology, sharing information and asking questions. There's plenty of people there who have lots of experience on this technology, so they can definitely help each other out. So you can find that at meraki.cisco.com/community. All right, so let's have a look at the ground rules for the Meraki Quarterly, just to remind ourselves of what this is all about. It is targeted at established Meraki customers and partners, and we're expecting with this webinar that you are already familiar with the Meraki portfolio, because this one does run at a bit of a pace and certainly assumes that knowledge. So if you are brand new to Meraki and you're joining us for the first time today, firstly, welcome. But we are actually focused on existing knowledge about the Meraki portfolio on this particular webinar. We do run a series of introductory webinars which are designed to get you up to speed, to really introduce you to the benefits of working with this cloud-managed technology. So you can find plenty of information on that on our website and sign up for other webinars there. The Meraki Quarterly is a retrospective look back over the last calendar quarter, and it is presented by Meraki product marketing and also product managers and guests who join us as well. And we certainly have a great panel from across the business joining us on the call today. This is a roadmap-free zone. So what we mean by that is we do not set out to talk about what's coming in the future on the Meraki Quarterly. It's very much a retrospective looking back over the past calendar quarter. There's plenty of things that happen during the course of every single quarter at Meraki, and we know that this happens at such a pace that it's hard to keep up with for many. And so what we like to do is just take a step back and really just take the time to recap what has happened in terms of new product launches, new features that you might be interested in right across the portfolio, and give you an opportunity to ask questions as well. So we ask that you please do that in the Q&A panel on WebEx, and we'll have a panel of questioners and answerers, I should say, who will be standing by to help get through the questions that you send in. And what I'll do also towards the end of the session, we'll also take some time to answer some of your questions in front of the whole audience here. So this is being recorded, so you'll be able to come back and recap this information in future if you need to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things across to George, who is going to take us through an introduction and an overview of what's been happening on the Meraki camera.
Hello everyone, my name is George Benting. I'm the product manager for camera systems here at Meraki, and it looks like my colleagues have picked a really unfortunate photo from our Cisco badge database. But let's move swiftly on from that and talk about what's new with cameras. Well, one of the really exciting things we've done in the last quarter is the release of Wi-Fi or wireless LAN on the new MV12 model of cameras. Now, this is available on all of the models, so the W, WE, and N, and you have 802.11ac wireless LAN in each one of those cameras that is now configurable, usable. If you bought the cameras when they first came out in February, you can now use it on those cameras as well. So what's the point of this? Why did we put wireless in a camera where people typically connect them via Ethernet with PoE? Well, it's because a lot of customers we've spoken to are trapped in this world of analog camera systems. That is, they have coax cable with a BNC connector, We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides' time. But essentially, replacing the cables, the disruption of replacing the cabling, or even the inability to alter or change the building due to historical reasons or maybe asbestos, prevents people upgrading or deploying new cameras, which is a real shame when there's something as exciting as the MV12 to go and start using with all its machine learning and other cool features. Well, wireless helps do away with that, and you can start deploying cameras without the need to put in new cabling. Now, this is all configured via dashboard. You just configure your SSID profiles in the wireless setting for your camera, and the important thing to note is you do need to pre-stage it. The camera has to get its configuration to be able to connect to the wireless. We're sort of in a chicken and egg scenario here, where if it doesn't get its configuration for the wireless, how can it connect to the wireless to get its configuration? Well, you need to make sure you pre-stage it on the LAN first. So when you're rolling these out and you want to use this, make sure you connect it to the LAN, configure your wireless settings, it will download those, then you can unplug it and go and deploy it wirelessly. Now, the important thing here is we support WPA2 pre-shared key and WPA2 enterprise, so you can deploy it really quickly, or you can deploy it with your radius server and everything else, but you must configure a secondary SSID. So the thing here is if you create a mistake, maybe you type in your pre-shared key incorrectly, we don't want your camera to be disconnected and for no way for you to sort of recover it. That's why we put a secondary SSID as a mandatory configuration parameter in the camera profiles. Now, this doesn't have to actually exist. It doesn't have to be available, broadcast by your access points, but it's there, hopefully with a known good configuration that you could go deploy in your access points incredibly easily on Meraki's MR access points, for example, to be able to recover your devices. We also offer a tertiary optional backup, so this is for when things are really not going very well at all. You can configure it for a completely different wireless network, or maybe you can recover it with a hotspot on your mobile phone, for example. Now, this is all very well having Wi-Fi and replacing the cables, but how do you power it? Well, this is where we launched and are now shipping the low voltage 12 volt DC, 24 volt AC power injector. This allows you to sort of retrofit those legacy camera deployments and eliminate the need to recable. The data plane is now wireless, and the camera takes PoE, but legacy cameras typically use 24 volts or 12 volts. So this converter is essentially a converter for that type of power. It's auto-sensing, so you just connect the cables. Doesn't really matter which order, and it doesn't matter if it's 24 or 12 volt. It will work it out itself, and it will power your camera via PoE. So this device itself is not wireless. It just enables you to take your wireless camera and power it from these legacy power systems. Now, I'm often asked, what happens with that coax connector? So here's a picture of an analog camera system. We've got the data plane on the left, and we've got the power on the right. So just want to get super clear here. And what you do is you just put the power in, and you get your PoE out. You don't need to use that BNC connector anymore. You can pull it out, cut it off, leave it there. Doesn't really matter. And this little device is so handy, you can really power your cameras anywhere. Okay. What are some of the software features we've sort of released in this last quarter? Well, privacy zones has been a really big ask from our customers in Europe, and I've personally found it incredibly useful in the office when we're testing cameras, and I don't want them to, for example, be recording my keyboard where I type in all my super secure passwords. You can now block out sensitive areas, and this will prevent recording of video, prevent live video viewing. And it happens so early in the processing pipeline of the camera that we also don't collect analytics or do any sort of motion detection for those zones as well. So you can really use it to tailor what the camera sees, and you can do that without having to sort of point it away from things that are sensitive. You can have up to 10 privacy zones per camera, and this is available on all MV cameras. This is available today. As Simon said, this is a roadmap-free zone. We also released digital zoom, so you can now on all the MV cameras zoom in up to 12 times using the mouse. Now, this can be combined with the other zooms that we have available, so we now have 3 different options for you to sort of increase the reach of your camera. We have things like sensor crop on the MV12 family, we have the optical zoom on the MV21 and MV71, and the digital zoom on top of all of these as well. The digital zoom is super easy to use. Just scroll in and out with your mouse wheel or trackpad. The only caveat here is you have just one camera. You can't zoom in and out on the video wall. You just need to look at a single camera. And the sensitivity of your mouse wheel or your trackpad dictates how quickly it zooms. So if you have a very precise trackpad like on my Mac here, I can sort of zoom in at a sort of a 0.1% precision. Well, on my clunky Windows PC, it tends to do 2, 7, and 12x, as you can see in my pictures here. Next up is link video. Now, you get into these situations where something happens and you want to share that event with someone else, and you want to share that with them sort of in dashboard. Well, what you can do is this new button allows you to copy a reference directly to that point in dashboard for that camera. Maybe there's a funny squirrel playing outside the office. This is one of our outdoor cameras, for example. Or maybe there's a bicycle thief that has just stolen a bicycle and you want to share that with the campus police officer so they can go find them. Press this button and it will copy that video link to your clipboard. And we have an example of what that link looks like at the bottom here. You can then just paste that to someone else. They click it. They will have to have a dashboard account to go and view that video, but that does ensure that someone has to be an authenticated user to be able to see it, and they can't just randomly share that on the internet with lots of people they shouldn't be sharing it with. And the final part of that is there's also an API for this. So if you want to get a bit more advanced and you want to do something programmatic, and this is specifically for integrating into, say, access control systems. So someone badges in, you want to go look at that event when they've come in, and you want to see, it was George's badge, was it really George coming in? You can sort of compare that terrible picture you saw at the beginning to the person actually walking through the door. Well, you can create links in other applications using this API. So it returns a video link as we did with that copy, and you can also supply a time. So then it will put the time in there as well. Further information is available under the Dashboard API Documentation Hub, or also on the Meraki API Documentation website. So with that, I'm now going to hand over.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Aham. I'm the product manager on the MX, continuing the theme of this webinar of bad pictures. So last quarter was a very big quarter for us as MX. We had a really big launch, and that we want to address a lot of the challenges that you see today on the branch network. So if you see from a branch perspective, there is a lot of trends that you have coming up and you see going forward in the industry. One of them is the rise of SaaS applications and the number of devices in the branch. So that increases the throughput requirements on the branch. Also, traditionally, we had basically two main connectivity options at the branch, either MPLS or broadband. But we see this rise of 4G LTE connectivity as an option for failover and backup. And with the roadmap of that medium to be going to 5G with higher throughput, we foresee that to become a third connectivity option for the branch. Also, there's tremendous pressure from a security perspective to make sure that the branch is secure and protected from all the malware and all the threats that you have out there. So to address all these challenges, we launched an entire new entire new line for our low end of the portfolio for the branch models. So the MX67 and MX68 models with integrated LTE. So this is not an addition to the existing portfolio, it's just a refresh for the entire line. So it's the same MX that you love and use and every day, now with more features and more performance. It's the most versatile, it's the most comprehensive solution for the branch. So what you get with the new line is a massive increase in throughput. It's 80% more throughput than the existing models. We have Cat6 LTE built in, so it's integrated LTE modem. You don't have to worry about those USB dongles anymore, although we still support those. And then you have 802.11ac Wave 2. So there's an upgrade also on the Wi-Fi for the Wi-Fi models. So you can see this is the portfolio that we have for the branch, for the MX lineup. You can start with MX64, 65. They still exist in the portfolio for today. And you can see that the throughput went from 250 megabit per second to 450 megabit per second. And there's an upgrade on the VPN throughput. There's an upgrade on the wireless part from Wave 1 AC to Wave 2 AC. And the most important part is the right side of the portfolio here with MX67C and MX68CW. These are the integrated LTE models. So MX67 has Cat6 LTE, 5 ports, and MX68CW is a unique product with this family that has both embedded LTE and integrated wireless, and 12 ports, 2 of them are PoE. So this is kind of the best in breed that we have today. With the new launch also last quarter, we added an addition to the Z3. So the Z3 as a teleworker that extends all the functionality and the features of the Meraki MX portfolio to the teleworker for home office workers. We added the Z3C. So the Z3C is an integrated teleworker appliance with integrated LTE and the PoE out. So it's a perfect solution to extend your options or your network to your teleworkers. Now it comes with embedded LTE for backup and failover, and it has embedded Cat3 LTE. So that's the difference between Z and the MX. That is the Cat3 versus Cat6. So let me jump quickly on a demo. Right. So you can see we have here all the new models, or one of the new models, MX67C with embedded LTE, the Z3C, the MX68CW. I'm going to just jump here to the MX68CW very quickly. So as you can see, it's the same look and feel, same experience that you get with the existing MX models. 12 ports, 2 of them are PoE. We have our uplink. But the new thing that you will see and notice quickly is here we have a cellular interface. So it says integrated, and it's ready. So it's up and ready as failover interface. And you click on uplink. You can see now there's WAN statistics, but also there are cellular statistics. So you can see it's ready, it's enabled, it has an IP. We get a signal strength. That's excellent. We also identify the provider, it's AT&T in this case. It's an integrated, and we have the APN. And also, if you go to the live data here, you can see there's tracking for WAN 1 and cellular. So that's part of the interfaces now you can see in the graphs, which is very important in case you have to troubleshoot any issues with the failover. So that's quickly in a glance what we have in terms of the demo. And most importantly, all these LTE features with integrated LTE modem are enabled in an API format. So this way you can configure or monitor your LTE interfaces at scale. You can have hundreds or thousands of LTE devices out there, and you can send calls and get to those interfaces via API format. So you can see you have some configure APIs, and you have some monitoring APIs. We recently, so it's an update for last quarter, we received a recognition from Gartner Peer Insight. So Gartner Peer Insight is kind of like the Yelp of the industry reviews. So this is we're reviewed by peers, and we are very honored and humbled to win the Gartner Peer Insight for versatility and simplicity of our MX solution in the branch. So if you want to learn more about it, feel free to go to the security blog on Cisco, or I think there's a link here that you can click on. Finally, we are coming up to these events here. So if you're in the area, feel free to stop by our booth, talk to our people, chat about the new models, the new lineup, embedded LTE, security, SD-WAN. We're here to chat, and we would love to see you. And with that, we'll hand it over to Amelie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amelie here, part of the product marketing team covering the updates for Systems Manager. We've been working hard on making more simple functionalities that you love, creating tools to help make management easier and more efficient. Some of the Systems Manager updates include new user experience, as well as new control across operating systems, and some new API enhancements. So what new user experiences do we have? We have Systems Manager Overview page. This is now a public beta feature that gives you a holistic view of the health of your SM network. It will be rolled out to all existing Meraki SM customers at no additional cost. This page allows you to have a summary of how many devices enrolled versus unmanaged devices, as well as devices that haven't checked in for the last 24 hours, as well as recent applications and profile changes or device compliance status. This is really the goal of answering the question of what you care about in terms of your endpoint management. Next, we've reimagined the software inventory page, so this will allow you to be able to see the number of installs, as well as make searching and sorting easier. So far, we've had a lot of good feedback, and our hope is for you to find managing software on your end devices more efficient. We've got some new controls over operating systems. On the Windows 10, we have enhanced support as well as BitLocker included. It ties in all of our Sentry features, giving you the ability of effective management with Windows 10. For Mac OS, we now have support for kernel extension. Lastly, on the API enhancements, if you'd like to automatically provision users or get more control over endpoints programmatically, this would give you the ability to do that. So collect emails or username or auto tags from your device's API. We want to remind you the customer success training. Now it's available for all customers despite your status. So whether you are a new customer or a returning customer, as long as you purchase a minimum of 200 SM licenses, you will receive a one-on-one session with a systems manager expert. You shall be contacted within 30 days of purchase, and so we definitely ask you to take a look at that. If you'd like more information, reach out to your Meraki sales rep to learn more. And now we're moving on to access points.
Hello, I'm Scott Wierstra, the wireless product manager for software at Meraki. Also going with the winning picture award day here. But I got some updates on the software side for wireless. So in the last quarter, we were pretty excited to continue to drive our network assurance story. One of the key asks we've had from our customers is that the data that we have available for network assurance be available via API. So if you're running multiple locations or multi-network deployments, it's really nice to aggregate this data set and create historical views of what's going on within the wireless environment at these locales. So what we've done is we've basically given you full access to wireless health via API. So we created 3 full new endpoints, and at the same time with each of those full endpoints, we also segmented them out into network-wide view, access point view, or client view. The key endpoints fall into 3 categories. So we have connection health. So this allows you to holistically see at a high level, are people able to get on the Wi-Fi? So can we associate, authenticate, get an IP address, or access DNS? So this just gives you an overall summary of what the success rate is within the network. We also launched an API for connection failures. So if you actually want to grab a list of the specific failures, you can grab the list of exact failures at the network, AP, or client level. So maybe you have a problem AP or a problem network within your organization. It's pretty easy to figure out exactly what's going on by pulling this list. And then we also launched a latency API. So you can look at the wireless over-the-air latency by traffic type. So this is something unique to Meraki, but we can segment out by background, best effort, video, and voice traffic. And then the really nice thing we've done with these APIs is we allowed you to call the API by any start time or end time within the last month. So you can do 1-hour blocks, daily blocks, etc., to do historical trending of the network location health. You can also segment out by SSID or VLAN. So we're pretty excited to have these available, and these are available via dashboard right now. So not a roadmap item. The next thing we've launched in the last quarter, we launched MR Plus Umbrella. So for our Umbrella customers, Umbrella provides a great way of securing your network. We've made it exceedingly easy to leverage Umbrella on the MR platform. So I will caveat that this is in beta right now, but it's available to everyone. So you can work with your account manager to get access to this. It'll be fully rolled out shortly. But the nice part of this is you can use your Umbrella policies directly in Meraki dashboard, and you can do it by SSID or via group policy or via Meraki group policies. So how does this work? It's very easy. So step one, you basically go into your Umbrella dashboard, copy your API and secret from Umbrella, go into the Meraki dashboard and link your Umbrella account. So you just paste, as you can see in the link Umbrella account feature, you paste the API key and API secret. When you click add key, we automatically pull your Umbrella Umbrella policies into Meraki, and then you can apply them directly to an SSID or Meraki group policy. This makes it takes a minute. It's very easy, and it basically secures all your access points. The last thing I want to talk about today, which is something that helps all the product teams. So this affects MS, MX, and MR. We've released some enhancements to our firmware upgrade tool. So now when you get scheduled for a batch upgrade, if it's on 10 networks or 20 networks or 30 networks, you can basically cancel the entire batch with a single click. This eases firmware management for all of you, and I hope this is helpful for our entire customer base, especially people with large deployments. And the other nice thing we've released is we have a progress bar on firmware upgrades. So instead of just operating a little bit in the blind, we now show the progress across multiple networks of where the upgrade is on the upgrade batch. So a batch is specific to a product line, but it gives you more visibility than you had in the past.
Hello, my name is James Locus, and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Switches here at Meraki. So Meraki now offers native VLAN mismatch detection on the Meraki dashboard. This is a feature that many of our customers have been asking for, and we wanted to make sure that you knew that we were listening to you, and that this feature is now available so that you can manage your network more effectively. So I want to give a brief review of just kind of how it works in general. So this is a typical switch-to-switch native VLAN configuration for untagged management traffic. So starting with switch 1, the information goes up to switch 2, and importantly, they are using the same VLAN. Now in this case, switch 2 has been misconfigured for VLAN 20. And so what that means is that VLAN 1, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily match with VLAN 20. So what happens in this case, a tablet user who needs an IP address to access the internet will then ping the DHCP server. And the server will provide the tablet with an IP address, but unfortunately for the wrong subnet. So that when that user receives the IP address all the way back, going through switch 2 to switch 1, the tablet user receives the IP address, but for the wrong subnet, which introduces a possible security hazard. So with Meraki, we now have indications on the dashboard to say, hey, you know what, hold up, port 1 is not using the same VLAN setting as the connected switch port. And on the dashboard, on the switch summary page, you'll actually get the indication here that says just that. And importantly, when everything is A-OK, you'll also be notified of that as well with an indication as you see here. Now again, native VLAN mismatch detection is available with the dashboard. And I wanted to briefly, on the software side again, give some MS-10 updates. So MS-10 has reached stable status. And what that means is that our PM and engineering teams have analyzed a host of firmware deployments across a wide variety of networks and have deemed it stable and great and terrific for all networks. And importantly, 65% of all switches are currently running the update. So that's a really great milestone. But importantly, we really would like to encourage you to update your system to the new firmware version. So we just want to give a quick review on how you would do that. So for step one, you want to go to organization and then firmware updates. Step two, you would want to highlight the target network and select scheduled upgrades. And finally, on step three, you'll want to perform the upgrade immediately, or you can schedule it for later. So with that, that concludes the updates for MS, and I'll pass it to the next person for Meraki Insight.
Thanks, James. Hello, everyone. I'm Shashwat Sehgal. I'm the PM for Meraki Insight, and it feels great to really present to you all that we're working on Meraki Insight over the last few months. So a quick recap of Meraki Insight. You guys might know, but we released Meraki Insight publicly in March, and we've had really terrific reception to what we are trying to achieve. A quick recap: Meraki Insight, it's our latest software product from the Meraki stable, and its goal is to provide end-to-end visibility for SaaS applications, any kind of SaaS applications that might be running on a customer network. That's not all. You can perform all kinds of network performance analytics and troubleshooting. You can quickly narrow down the root cause of a performance degradation. You can find out if it's a problem on the LAN, if it's a problem on the WAN, or if it's a problem on the application server. The goal really of Meraki Insight is how can we use software to keep on accelerating IT and reduce time to resolution. Aspirationally, our goal is if it takes you 5 hours to resolve an application outage, we want to reduce that time to 5 minutes or less, and we want to make it as easy as using 5 clicks of a mouse. This product primarily is meant for customers who are interested in some kind of migration towards SaaS and SD-WAN. So that's really where we are as far as the launch is concerned. What are the key customer challenges it solves? Well, there are 2 key customer challenges. We've heard time and again from customers the age-old problem. And the problem is that when an application outage occurs, people don't know who to contact. Should they start troubleshooting at the LAN? Should they start troubleshooting with their ISP? Is it something upstream, or is it a problem with the application server? So what Meraki Insight does very quickly, it tells the users where exactly in the chain, where exactly in the network is a fault occurring, and what is the root cause of the degradation. Secondly, once you figure out what the root cause of the degradation is, what concrete evidence can you gather to pinpoint the source of the problem? What concrete evidence can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this indeed is where the problem is occurring? So with that recap, I want to present the very exciting updates that we have over the last few months. So we've been working very hard on this feature called WAN Health, and this went public as of 3 weeks ago. The idea behind this feature is that so far Meraki Insight was all about helping network admins get to the root of any kind of application problems. We heard from time and again from customers that application performance troubleshooting is fantastic, but they spend a lot of their time troubleshooting ISPs. The vast majority of their problems start with their ISPs. So with that in mind, our goal was to make it really, really easy to help customers troubleshoot any kind of ISP problems. This is exactly what WAN Health tries to achieve. So for the first time ever, what you have is a single place in the dashboard where you have a status of all your uplinks, be it WAN 1, be it WAN 2, be it cellular. You don't have to go to the individual appliance status pages for each individual appliance. Now you can look at the status for all your appliances in one very easy to consume tab. The most important use case is Within one click of a mouse, you can quickly identify all the uplinks that are down, including those that are on cellular. Secondly, you can also, especially for the cellular uplinks, you can quickly see what the signal strength is. You can quickly get down to the fact that is a poor signal strength a driver behind poor network performance. Thirdly, for any kind of a network outage, for any kind of an ISP outage, you can quickly do a root cause analysis. You can find out if the problem behind the ISP is it something outside your control? Is it something happening upstream? Is it a poorly performing ISP? Or is it merely a saturated network? Is it merely the fact that somebody on your network is using Netflix and just saturating the network, which is in turn causing poor performance on the ISP? And last but not the least, our goal is to help you figure out which sites are the most reliant on cellular as a failover. You can do this very quickly by looking at historical trends. You can figure out which sites have failed over most often. And in turn, what that would mean is you need to invest in cellular at those locations. But I'll save the best thing for the last. WAN Health, and for that matter, Meraki Insight in general, is available in GA on all new MX models. It's available in GA on MX 67, 68, and Z3C. So if you're interested in WAN Health or in application performance management, please contact your Meraki rep. And having said that, let me give you a quick demo. So this is what WAN Health looks like. As you can see on this page, the first use case is that you can quickly look at the status of all the appliances in your organization. You can quickly figure out which ones of them are inactive, which ones of them are active, and which ones of them have any kind of problems. As it turns out, this network right now, which is a live production network, doesn't have any problems, which is exactly what you want. But in case it was suffering from a problem, you would start seeing some of these networks in red or yellow. Red would indicate a network which is 100% down, and yellow would indicate a finer level of granularity. It would mean that either that network is poorly performing because of some upstream ISP issue, or it would indicate that the network has high usage, which is someone on your network is really making it go beyond capacity. And that's really where you want to start troubleshooting. You can do really interesting things like you can look at historical loss trends. You can look at which applications are affected. If you have any kind of cellular networks in here, you can quickly filter by cellular and see what the signal strength for those networks is. And it really provides you with unprecedented level of visibility into what's going on in the network. Again, the goal is to make ISP troubleshooting as simple as possible so that you can really hold your ISPs accountable to their SLAs. A quick recap, MI is enabled by the MX, so you don't need to install any additional hardware in your network. And finally, the licensing, we've tried to keep licensing very simple. You need a different MI license depending on what model of the MX you have, and the gradation of the MI license is as per the size of the MX. So if you're interested in learning more, like I said, please reach out to your Meraki rep. And having said that, I'll pass it off to Simon for any kind of Q&A.
Okay, thanks, Shashwat, and thanks all the presenters today. I'm actually amazed. We're at 40 minutes into the hour, and we've gone through breakneck speed. A lot of new capabilities there, so I hope you were able to pick up on a lot of that stuff. And of course, we will be putting up a recording for this webinar, as we do for all of our major webinars, online in the next few days, so you'll be able to recap on anything which you may have missed. What I'd like to do now is take a few minutes to go through some of the questions that have come in during the session, to give you a chance to get those aired for everybody who's attending today. You have your last opportunities to ask any questions today. We do have the panelists all helping out answering questions, so you'll have seen that happening during the session. But I really just want to share a few of them with you today. First question that came in was perhaps arguably one of the more important ones. And that was all about the pair of socks that we saw on the opening slide for the Meraki Quarterly, and a question about where you can get hold of these socks. Well, there are many answers to that question. Trade shows are definitely one of the potential opportunities, and I think a couple of shows were put up during the sessions today, so you can see what's coming up. But the other really good one is in the Meraki community, which is, of course, where we ran the photo contest for the headlining photo on today's session. And so we often run little contests and quizzes and tests for you that you can join in on. And quite frequently, the prizes do end up being something like a pair of socks. So that's your best bet. Hope that's useful information for you. If you didn't want a pair of socks today, then I do apologize. Let's move on to some of the technical questions that came in as well. So we did get a couple of interesting ones around the MV. There was a question for clarification around the type of zoom functionality that we have on the camera. It is a zoom-based camera, so it's not a PTZ style camera and in the model range at this point in time. Obviously, if that's something that you have a use case for, then we're always very much open to feedback. So do get in touch with your Meraki contact to let us know that you have a use case for that. We'd be definitely listening. We've also got a question here, a very important one, because George went through some of the capabilities the camera has around detection of people that we're using for analytics purposes, so that we can start to build up some idea around the number of people who are moving through a particular scene during a particular period of time. And an inevitable question which often comes up from this is, do we have face recognition, or is it something that we're looking to do in the future? We have absolutely no plans to introduce face recognition at Meraki at this point in time. We're always walking that line with privacy, as I'm sure you can appreciate. It's a very sensitive subject in many countries around the world. For us, what really matters about the technology we've introduced on the MV is about the analytics that we're able to gain, and really helping those who deploy these cameras to really understand their environments a little bit better. And that helps them with, for example, customer engagement in a retail setting. So that's really what our focus is there. Okay, I'm just scanning down through the questions here, so just bear with me a second. There's a question about availability of the LTE features that were mentioned in the MX. The good news here is that the team worked really hard to get LTE ready, not just on the hardware level, but also from a certification level for as many different countries as possible at launch. So you're going to find some very good news there if you go into our website and start digging through on those LTE-based models. We definitely understand that that's boosting our offer for the branch in particular, and enabling us to deploy to new locations that we've not previously been able to satisfy. Okay, so as far as another question about the modem capability on the Z3 or Z3, and this is based around Cat3 technology on LTE. So there is a variability in the performance that you're going to see there. So on the Z3 or Z3, this is the product that you typically would deploy as a teleworker. So there you're looking at about 100 megabits per second across LTE using Cat3 there. And then for the MXC, this is a slightly more grown-up product for the for branch deployments or small office deployments. You're up to about 300 megabits per second there. So very respectable coverage and performance, bearing in mind that that's using the cellular data network, so not relying on your regular bandwidth backhaul. Okay, so just bear with me a second here. We had a question actually relating to LTE support in Canada. So we are PTCRB certified, so we're working with carriers there to try to get as much coverage as we can. So stay tuned. We will obviously be making sure that that information is shared as quickly as we can make it available. And another point of clarification around the LTE. So this is really designed today to provide a very powerful backup capability for networking purposes. So we're still developing some more technologies that sit on top of this. So many of you who use the MX will be familiar with the SD-WAN functionality we introduced to that model, which obviously significantly enhances the value of an MX deployment. And we'll be looking to bring that to LTE as quickly as possible. So for now, think of it as a technology that you can rely on for failover if you do have problems with your primary network connection. Okay, just bear with me a second here. So there was a question on the Systems Manager section that Amelie went through around the new overview page for Systems Manager. So as is often the case with Meraki, we do tend to roll out new products and features in a progressive manner, and this means that we're obviously getting maximum confidence for the vast bulk of our customers. You're actually able to now access that new overview page as a beta. So if you're having any difficulty getting hold of that, do please reach out to support. You should see it there, and they will definitely make sure that that's the case if you're not seeing it already. We had an interesting question came in here because there was a name drop for Cisco Umbrella, which is a technology we integrated into the MX as part of the launch we did back in August. And Umbrella is actually a product that you may know as OpenDNS. This was the technology that was actually acquired by Cisco last year, and they've rebranded that as Umbrella. So just think whatever you know about OpenDNS, you can translate that directly. And if you do want to learn more about Umbrella, you can find out at umbrella.cisco.com. This is essentially enabling you to deliver policies on a much more powerful scale than ever before, making sure that certain groups of individuals get access only to certain websites and are properly protected when they go out to the internet. Just one other point of clarification around the MX, and this is one that does come up from time to time, very important to clarify. If you are considering an MX model which has built-in wireless capability, so here I'm thinking about 82.11, so Wi-Fi, do bear in mind that that is not integrated at a management level with the MR products line that Scott went through. So that's important because if you think that you're going to move on past a single AP that the MX gives you to needing to have multiple access points around your physical space, you'd be better off getting one of the non-Wi-Fi models of the MX and then simply going for MR wireless access points as usual. That will scale much more effectively and give you also the maximum functionality that you're probably looking for. Okay, I'm still going down the list here. So there's a question here about the hardware. Just to clarify something which Shashwat went through around Meraki Insight. So this product does require a collector for all of the data that we use to provide the confidence around performance of your wide area network and also the applications that you're relying on various cloud services. And that product at this point in time is the Meraki MX. So it already has the ability to do deep packet inspection for us. We're already using that for a number of security features, and we simply leverage that capability to provide the data we need. And it also means that when we combine the MX with Meraki's cloud storage capability, then we can store that data for you and enable you to track it over a period of time. So that's really where the value comes in from Meraki Insight. So you can really see how things are trending over time, making sure that you're maintaining best performance for your cloud hosted applications. So there's a question here around the WAN health. So this is something which we've introduced on the MR earlier this year so that we can see how our Wi-Fi is performing, but we're also bringing this capability to Meraki Insight as well. So stay tuned for more information on that particular area. Okay, just scanning the last few questions that have come in. Looks like we've covered everything that we had come in as your questions today. Just doing one last quick scan. No, I think we're there. So I think it's time to wrap things up and let you get back on with your day. All of us in the room would love to thank you very much for your time and attention. We do go super fast through this webinar and cover a lot of ground with it. As I said, we will have a recording up for this in the next couple of days, so you'll be able to catch up on anything that you may have missed or you want to recap. So from all of us here on the team, we look forward to welcoming you back in 2019 for the first Meraki Quarterly. That will be in January, so stay tuned for information about that. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.